Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled The Call That Changed College Football Forever, and Nobody Can Prove It. You may be thinking to yourself that the most controversial game in college football history is already decided. Maybe it's the fifth down game. Maybe it's the Bush push. But what if I told you the most controversial game ever never officially happened the way we remember it? No clean replay, no definitive angle, no agreement decades later on what actually decided it. Just a result, and a call that may or may not have changed college football forever. This is an alternate history story about Miami and Cincinnati football and the moment history almost went a different way in this alternate universe. First, we need to set the table for the double divergence. 1968. Everything you're about to see almost didn't happen in this universe and definitely did not happen in ours. Because in real life, Bo Schembechler takes a job at Michigan in 1969, and Bill Walsh, he rises to fame building a dynasty with the San Francisco 49ers. That's the timeline we know. But in this alternate universe, there is a moment, quiet, undocumented, barely remembered, where both paths changed. Bo hesitated. Not publicly, not dramatically, but long enough for Miami to make a call. And Walsh, he didn't completely miss the NFL. The NFL just waited a few extra years to call. And that's the break. A delay, a hesitation, a door opening just long enough to change everything. And that sets the table to two identities forming. Bo arrives at Miami, and he turns them not into the Miami you know. No swagger, no dominance, no cultural weight. Just a program searching for identity. And the identity Bo gives them one in this alternate universe is very different than our universe. As in this universe, Miami football is heavy on discipline, defense, and control. But South Florida doesn't stay controlled forever. Throughout the 1970s, something starts changing. Players get faster, louder, more expressive. Assistants begin adapting. Speed packages sneak in. And slowly, Miami becomes something new. Disciplined chaos. Meanwhile, at Cincinnati, Walsh is building something entirely different. At Cincinnati, there's no pressure to win big immediately. So he experiments. Short routes, timing, precision, quarterbacks reading defenses before the snap. You may be thinking to yourself that this sounds very familiar. It is, but in this timeline, it starts at Cincinnati instead. By the time Walsh leaves for the 49ers, it's not the way you remember. He's not bringing a brand new idea to the NFL. He's bringing one that's already spreading. And that sets the table for the collision course. Meanwhile, in Ann Arbor, Michigan still wins. They're still respected, but they're not the Bo version of Michigan. And every time Miami appears on national television, there's a quiet question. What if Bo had come here instead? Now we flash forward to 1986. Cincinnati goes into Norman and beats the #1 Oklahoma Sooners on the road, on national TV, and it's not a fluke. Now people are paying attention, not to the score, but to the system. And then 1987, everything converges. Miami's 11-1 with elite defense and fully evolved power and speed. Cincinnati's 10-2 with the nation's top passing offense led by a quarterback coaches can't quite explain. With the narrative such as he's ahead of his time. And the matchup nobody planned, but everyone watches, has these two teams converging in a bowl game. And that sets the table for the game. First quarter, Miami controls everything. 9-minute drive, field goal. Cincinnati responds instantly. 6 plays, 80 yards, touchdown. By halftime, we have a 10-10 ball game. Fourth quarter, Cincinnati leads 20-17. There's 2 minutes left. Miami has the ball. On the sideline, Bo and his offensive coordinator are arguing. Bo wants to run the ball and end it his way. The coordinator says we can beat them outside. You may be thinking to yourself that Bo would never abandon his identity, but in this alternate universe, he does on this final drive. Final drive, play action, rollout, receiver going downfield, catch, touchdown. But then there's a flag. holding, somewhere on the line. The broadcast doesn't show it clearly. The angle is wrong. Officials huddle, longer than expected. Then the call stands, touchdown. Miami wins 24-20, and that sets the table for the aftermath. No one agrees on what happened. Miami fans say he made the play. Cincinnati fans say that penalty gets called today. Coaches say they let them play. The film, incomplete. The key angle, gone. Years later, a grainy alternate copy surfaces. It shows just enough to prove nothing. And because of this game, officials hesitate late. Let them play becomes culture. Passing systems begin spreading faster. Miami becomes the most dangerous team in football because they can be anything. Cincinnati becomes the blueprint nobody credits. And Bo, he wins, but he never calls that play again. And that sets the table to the question that never goes away. That season, Notre Dame had a choice: schedule Miami or schedule Cincinnati. They chose Miami. Years later, someone inside the program says, we picked the wrong team. So now we're left with this. Did Miami win the game, or did Cincinnati change football? Because if that penalty gets called, if that drive ends differently, momentum flips. College football might look very different in this parallel universe today. And this is an alternate history, the kind that feels just real enough to argue about forever. And if you enjoyed this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me, did Miami earn this victory, or did Cincinnati deserve to win instead? Because somewhere out there, that missing angle might still exist, and it might have the answer. And I'll see you in the next timeline.